back to another episode of the Dear Fathers podcast. I'm your co-host, James Meeks. I got my co-host here with me, Jesse Alex. Before we get started with today's impactful combo, I got to check in with my boy. Jesse, how you feeling today, bro?
Bro, I'm good, man. I'm excited about this season that we've having so far, man. A lot of great guests, a lot of great conversations. This guy in particular today, I'm excited for because I'm a big fan of one of the shows that he's on. So I'm excited to unpack who he is as a black man, as a black father. So let's get to it.
Absolutely, man. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome an amazing father and actor, Curtis Cook from the hit show The Chi, to the Dear Fathers podcast. Curtis, we got to know how you feeling today, family.
Good, man. Thank y'all, man. Thank y'all so much. And thank you for the space, brothers. I mean, this is something that's been well overdue and definitely needed. And the fact when I heard that you guys were even interested in talking to me, I was like, wow, this is important, especially in today's age, but in general, man. So I'm happy to be here, man. And I'm in a good space right now. You caught me on a good day. And if I curse and you need to bleep it out, I'm sorry about that, because my mouth sometimes it just goes by itself sometimes.
Oh no, we allow the cursing, so don't worry about it. Don't feel like you got to censor yourself, man, because we say a cuss word every now and then too, man.
Okay.
But really jumping into the conversation, man, we like to always, take it back. It's really good to understand like who a person is and where they came from. So for you in particular, let's take it back to your childhood and talk about where you're from. What was your relationship like with your parents, and specifically, what was your relationship like with your dad?
Wow. So I am from Dayton, Ohio, Midwest boy. I am the oldest of 5 children. Both of my parents, I grew up with both of my parents in the house. We were below middle class. I know you heard this joke a million times. We was poor, but we didn't know we was poor. The children didn't know we were poor. You know what I mean? We were just going about our everyday life. We was on food stamps at one time. When the lights got cut off every now and then, you'd be like, lights out, we'll figure it out, and then they'd be back on in a couple of weeks. My mother, like I said, I'm the oldest of 5. I have a sister, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers. My sister is the next one after me, Renee, and then there's Clifton, and then there's Cameron. Renee, Chautauqua, Clifton, Cameron, and 10 years. So my sister's 3 years younger than me. Then my brother after that is 9 years. And then it's 12 years and 13 years. So, so they're still out here doing their thing and whatnot. My mother, when I was roughly around about 9, 10 years old, joined the Jehovah's Witnesses. My father was like, Alice, you good on that? I'm gonna stay over here. So that was the first time. I'm saying that because that was the first time I saw any kind of a major rift within my parents because of the ideologies of the religion and what they were doing before became kind of a conflict. My dad is a hard worker, man. He worked always by the time he was in Vietnam, came back. Worked at Montgomery County Engineers as a truck driver, then eventually turned into a bus driver. And he was one of those people, man, that dreamed huge. And he would do just crazy stuff, bro. Like my dad, you would be waking up on a Sunday morning, you find out your daddy's out there taking plane lessons, like flying lessons. And it's like, what? And he'd be like, yeah, so come on, next week we're going to be flying to the whatever. And so it would go. And then couple of years later after that, we had horses, man. It was like, okay, I bought these horses. We got some horses out here. And it wouldn't be like he would have had any money or anything like that. It would just be like he would find a way. So my childhood was very, very adventurous, and especially because of him. And I take a lot of that on, man. I take a lot of his just go to it and tackle just anything just because I think you can, you know what I mean? So I want to do that, I'm gonna try that. And I got that a lot of that from him. And he's still here. My mom's no longer with us, but physically, she's here with me spiritually. But my dad is still kicking in Dayton, Ohio.
Well, I got a follow-up question to that, because you mentioned your mother going and becoming a Jehovah's Witness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because I have a lot of friends who actually grew up Jehovah's Witnesses. I actually know some grew up and then they become adults. They don't really practice it. And at some point they find their way back to it. And this kind of leads into our next question with you getting into entertainment and acting. What made you realize you first wanted to act, and then 2, how did your mom feel about that? Because I know a lot of times Jehovah's Witnesses, they really ain't for all of that type of stuff.
Most definitely, man. It was rough. I have a good friend of mine. He said that acting found me. I didn't find acting because I had great teachers. I thought I was going to be a singer. So, I was in the choir and all of that kind of stuff. But then we did a play like in junior high school. And I was like, oh, my teachers kind of noticed that you got something, dude. And so I got into it more and more. And I started doing more regional stuff. I mean, not regional stuff, but bigger things within our area, like local area. And the hardest part for me a lot of times was that my mom would not come to the performances. So every now and then she would come. It's weird, man, because I felt like she was at this dual point because she knew I love it, and she felt like I'm speaking for her that I needed to do it and I need to have it. So she never ever told me not to do it. She never said, you know what, we're not doing that. You can't do that. No, Curtis. And I've known other friends and families that were witnesses who parents did say that. No, this is not what we do. We do not do worldly things. You do not get involved with worldly things. But my mom was always supportive, man. Sometimes at night or when I was at home, I had a monologue or something. She would be there trying to help me with the monologue. Couldn't act for nothing. Couldn't sing. Well, she could sing a little bit, but she'd be like that, giving me notes. But the best thing about my mom, I always say that she's my number one fan. She's fun. She was a funny woman. She would be very, very strict with me. Like she was my hugest critic, man. If I did something that was bogus, that was trash, she would not hold back. She'd be like, "That's what you gonna do? Well, if that's what you're gonna do, it's good I ain't coming because ain't nobody gonna come after you do some shit." You'd be like, huh? What? She'd be like, and then, but on the other side of that, when I would do something that was great, she'd be like, oh my God, Curtis, Curtis, that's how you need to do it. Whatever, you know what I mean? And it was a genuine love that we had between it. Like my dad, so my dad wouldn't really come to my performances as well. And I don't think it was for religious reason. I just think he just forgot when my shit was happening. But but when he did come, he's always been very supportive as well. But on a trick thing, man, I'm long-winded, brothers. I'm sorry about this. So everything leads me to another story. And so y'all gonna be like, oh my God, this brother's still talking, goddamn. But I got accepted to this really prestigious school in London, England, right? And it was in London. And drama school. And my first week there, I was crying I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And mama was right there on the phone with me. She's like, come on home, baby. You don't have to do this if you don't need to. You come on home and we can find another way. And so I'm in that mindset, like, okay. 5 seconds later, my dad gets on the phone. He says, Curtis, you said you want to do this, right? I said, yes, sir. He said, but this is the only time you're going to be able to do it. I believe that you can do this. You just need to believe that you can do this. Nobody told you it's going to be easy. And he just kind of laid it out. And bro, when I tell you that it was so powerful because he never really ever kind of spoke as succinctly and as directly and as passionately about something that I was doing like that. And I stayed, man, and I did it. And to this day, whenever I'm on anything, he's like, did you see my son on so-and-so? No, you got to watch. No, you won't, don't be talking about no Idris. Who are you talking about? Let me show you who you need to be. He's like, so now he's my biggest fan, man. And our relationship was rocky as any, I'm gonna have to stand up because these lights, if you don't motion, they're gonna go out in the studio. Our relationship was rough. You know what I mean? He was a Kung Fu instructor at one point. And I had to take Kung Fu from him. So whenever he needed to demonstrate any kind of moves or anything, that would be on me. But and it was she was a strong I can't even speak, man. Disciplinarian. He made sure that things were done in a certain way, and if they weren't, there were consequences to pay. I love him to death, and I realized as in later in life, as I meet people who didn't grow up with their fathers or didn't have their fathers, how fortunate I was because he was there. Even on those days, I was like, man, I just wish you just, I can't stand. You know what I mean? In hindsight, hindsight is always one of the greatest teachers, right? And just God willing, we all have the ability to view hindsight. But he's a great guy. Clifton Cook, that's my dad, Clifton Cook.
For sure, man. We definitely, appreciate that transparency. We know your mom is looking down, smiling
Mm.
at everything that you're doing, proud of you, and glad that your pops is now, your number one fan and support you along the journey, man. And, as we talked about before we started recording, kind of to what you said, like, you took it for granted, having both, parents in the home. Me, I grew up without my dad. So to hear stories like that, while it was a little bit rocky, you still had that foundation. You still had something to lean on, which I always think is pretty dope, man. And I want to get into this is our thing at Dear Fathers being fatherhood and culture, man. Like right
Yeah.
now, you're on one of the biggest shows for Black culture, we feel like, in being the shy. You've
Mhm.
done, plenty of other things in the past, going to do more things in the future. But with that being one of the, biggest shows for Black culture, what's that been like for you to be, a prominent character on a show that, Black people look to and watch on a weekly basis when it comes out?
The short answer is amazing.
Mhm.
The longer answer is sometimes, especially for myself, I don't realize how big of an impact the character that I play has and the show has, because you're in a bubble, especially after this pandemic. You're literally in a bubble. So
Mhm.
you're this small microcosm, and you're doing this work, and you're just going there and complaining about silly stuff because you're in this bubble. And appreciating the work, appreciating the message that's being put forward, appreciating the people that you're getting to work with. But then you step outside of that, and I'm gonna go to a boxing match or something, and I see some big dude just came out, and people like, bruh, I love your show, man. I love what y'all doing. I love what y'all talking about. And it just, or you see like a little old white woman on the corner. She's like, "You're the mayor, aren't you the mayor?" And it's how many people this show has touched, and how it has and flowed into their lives. It it makes me feel proud, man, and it makes me feel very fortunate. I've been in this business for a very long time, and this is my first series regular role on a television show. I've
Mhm.
done plenty of television shows before, um, but this is my first, and I think it's by divine order. And now on the show, I'm one of the elder statesmen. So although my character is not one of the best role models to kind of look up to, but there is something noble about this dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is something that once he says something or does something, that you can trust and believe he's going to do it. You might not
Mhm.
always like the way he's going to do it, but you can trust, believe he's going to follow through that. And I think that's something that us as Black men also should adhere to a lot of times. And let our word be our word. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Let it mean what it says. I
Mhm.
mean, the devils are always going to be in the details, but there's power in doing what you're saying you're going to do,
Mhm.
as straightforward and as open heartedly as you can. And that's what I respect about this character, and also how the show itself just shows the messiness of
Right.
life. It ain't trying
Yeah.
to sugarcoat nothing. It ain't trying to show, hey, everybody got it together. No, we all got problems, and that's life. That's
Mhm.
all of us. So
Yeah.
I'm very proud to be a part of the Shy, and I'm very grateful to Lena Waithe and Common and Fox and Disney for allowing me to stay there
Mhm.
and do the work that I get to do.
No, that's amazing, man. And one thing I kind of want to unpack there, what you said, is you've been in the business for a long time. I don't know how many years it's been, but this is your first, like I think you said, recurring, regular
No,
role.
series regular role. Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that we talk about here is mental health, and we have this segment called Straight Mental, which we do. So what's that like if you're following your dreams and you have these big dreams to do all these big things? How do you maintain that mental balance when you're continuing to follow your dreams and you don't get that you know series role until like later on down the line? Like what's that been like for you on just a mental journey, like through the course of the work that you've been doing?
Slow and steady and very difficult. I am the father of five children. My oldest son is 31. My daughter's 30. She'll be 30. Oldest son is 32. My next daughter, she'll be 31 on the 26th of June. Then I have a 27-year-old. Then we have twins that are 18, a boy and a girl, Harlem and Jade. Curtis, Isis, Harlem, Jade, and Kimani. Those are my children. At one point in my life, Curtis, Isis, and Kimani's mom decided that she no longer wanted to be a wife or a mother, so she left. She left me with the three of them. And you're talking about mental wellness and mental health and trying to keep it together. And this was a time when I was, I was a working actor, hand to mouth. Jesse, James, I've never had a 9 to 5. I've only had one 9 to 5 job in my life. Everything else I've done, it's been through acting, through commercials, through plays, through um, um, video game voiceovers. It's always been through acting. And so to say there's been times and dark times where I would have to sit on the couch and not move until someone told me, you know what, you can't just sit on the couch and not move. You have these 3 children here. You need to go see somebody. You need to go and have a conversation with somebody. I didn't have any money. It's like therapists cost money. I can't just go, you know what I mean? We have the organization called Equity, so they also help with kind of financial stuff. So I eventually I did end up seeing a therapist and talking. So okay, wow. So you I'm all over the place in my mind. So there's a couple of things with it. A part of the reason why I wouldn't go and see somebody is I used to feel as if when I began to speak certain things, they became truer than they actually were. And I was afraid to speak them. So I felt like if I just hold them in, give it time, the thing will go away, I can move forward, it'll be fine. Not realizing that they're not going anywhere. I might be appearing to move forward. I'm just carrying all this baggage with me. Once I began to having a conversation with the professional, I began to feel lighter. I began to be more accessible to my children, I believe. I began to understand more about who and what I am. And in those steps is when I can actually say my career began to open up as well. That things began to happen a little, this once again, this is in hindsight, this is retrospect. I'm sure in the time I'm thinking I ain't gonna never get a regular role. I've been auditioning for 40 years and I ain't gonna never get it. But things happen when they're supposed to, and it's this guy it's older to his parents. That's an iconic character, man. People are gonna be talking about this dude long after this thing goes away, and that's because of I think the working on myself and the mental health issue, and really dealing with some regret, some pain, some loss that needed to be flushed out. So long answer to your question, but it is and was difficult, but it is a daily journey, and it is one that I am now better equipped to deal with. I no longer see my therapist. Sometimes I think I need to, but I'm really good at taking time for myself. I'm really good at just saying, you know what, I have to just shut down. Hey guys, I just need to step away and reevaluate what's going on. Um, but um, but I have a very supportive team. I have a wife. My wife is very supportive, and that's where the twins came from, Harlem and Jade. She told me she was pregnant. I say I could do one more. She had two.
Funny how that works. A question for you, man, about something you just said it hit home, not because I'm going through that same situation, but because you spoke about your previous kid's mom. I don't know if she was your wife or just
wife.
First you in a relationship, your ex-wife. She decided that she didn't want to be a mother and a wife anymore, and she decided to leave. I'm home this week with my 3 kids. My wife is on a girls trip in Jamaica. So I'm home I got contractors in the house. I got a dog that's hurt. Then I got my 3 babies at the same time. Like, you picked the worst time to go on vacation, right? But in navigating this, and this isn't the first time I've been at home with my kids by myself, but it was like, man, just my appreciation for what single parents do goes up tremendously when I think about everything that I've had to do this week. So when you went to that space where you were forced into becoming a single parent, how scary was that for you? And were you ready?
I was not ready, and it was very fucking scary. Um, we subsequently later got evicted from our place. I remember I had to go down to the welfare office and ask for help from welfare, and I was sitting there, man. I feel it coming up. I was sitting there with them and all these people, and this woman looking at me like I was less than. She probably wasn't. That's how I felt it was coming at me. We got the food stamps. This was before the card. So I was on it for 2 years, food stamps first, and then the next year they gave me a card. say that because when I got the food stamps, I was too embarrassed to use the food stamps. I used to have boxes of food stamps in my closet where I lived because I was too embarrassed to use the food stamps. I remember one time, I don't know if you know, they used to have this pancake mix. I don't know if they still do. They used to have this pancake mix that if you didn't have to have water, milk or eggs, you can just add water to it and you mix it up and then
Oh
you
yeah,
can make
they
these
still
pancakes.
got that today.
They still got that. uh, I remember basically, man, y'all getting a lot. I remember that was basically our breakfast, lunch, and dinner sometimes. And by the time it got to dinner, you'd be trying to get 4 pancakes for 4 people. And I mean, one time I made these pancakes, and the children were young. Curtis was very young, and I only had so many for everybody, right? And then at the end, I gave the children theirs, and then I had mine. And Curtis Jr., who is now 32 years old, he was a baby then. He went into the kitchen and he was like, "Oh man, Dad, you ate all of them? Oh, you ate all of them, Dad? Oh, bruh." I was like, I didn't eat all of them, Curtis. That was the only one for me. But he was hurt and he didn't understand that was all we had, and it broke me down. To this day, it breaks me down, and it was difficult. But what it did teach me was anything can happen. Anything can just disappear. Nothing is set. No matter how well you think things are going, anything can happen. At that time in my life, I felt like it was the worst thing that happened. But I made it through. I got to the other side. So now, as things, I'm very cautious. So I always got I'm like a pack rack. I always got stuff stored up in the back just for a rainy day. But I also know inside of me that I'm gonna make it through. I'm gonna get through the other side because one, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. 2, I've learned how to surround myself with people who are supportive and who also love me and I love them. And 3, and this is one of those things that's easy to say until you have to deal with it. So I know it's bogus, but I'm gonna say it anyway, is that if it's not gonna happen, it's not supposed to happen. That's one of those things you say, if I'm not supposed to happen, I'm not supposed to, I mean, if not for me, it ain't for me. Yeah, but when you really want something and you want it and it ain't for you, you still, you want it though,
You
still,
still
you
want
can
it.
be
Yeah.
flipping if you want to. So it was difficult, man. I was not prepared. I'm not bashing um um their mother. I'm not. People need to do what they need to do for their own mental health, and sometimes that decision is it doesn't appease everyone. It doesn't make everyone happy. But they still have a relationship with her, and I do too, to a certain extent. But now that they're grown, they're I don't have to be in the middle of it. I don't have to do it. But she's cool people, and they're great people. Curtis and Isis have given me grandchildren. I'm a grandfather. Isis has a son, and Curtis has a son as well. MD and V. That's what my nicknames for them are. And I have everything, man. I have everything. That means that when I walk out of here, I'm gonna get hit by a car. So I'll talk to you guys later.
No, man. That's a lot to unpack, man. And I want to ask this. I'm trying to think of the best way to kind of formulate it based on everything that you said. So
Like
a lot to unpack there. And I think what I want to ask is, like, through that journey of getting through those hurdles, you're raising at the time, these 3 children, they're young, they're growing up. You're still trying to out. At any point, did you ever feel like they resented you for the path that you were taking and following your dreams? And at any point, did that kind of change once they saw, like, oh, it's working and, we're in a better position? Did anything like that ever come up through that journey?
I mean, I would have to say that that's probably a question for them to ask them. But I because in my head, this was all that they knew. You know what I mean? What I was doing was all that they knew, so it was just their life. So I don't know what they saw at school. Like you were saying at the baseball games or the basketball game, you didn't see any other fathers there. So maybe they were seeing things at school that they never brought back to me. It's like, oh well, why ain't you doing this? I know there was a time where Curtis said to me that I wasn't coming to his games, you know what I mean? And why weren't you there coming to this basketball game or this whatever? 9 times out of 10, I was out auditioning, you know, trying to get a gig. Maybe that's one of those things. Uh, yeah, the resentment, and I'm sure there has to be, right? I'm sure, if I'm being totally honest, I'm sure there's something in them that they feel that they missed from me because I was out here trying to make a way, which appears to be for me, for myself. And now that they're adults, I'm sure they're like, oh my God, he was doing that for us. You know what I mean? Um, so 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 yeah, I think that's more of a question for them. I do know that I say this a lot too, that they saved my life because I had to get up to do what I wanted to do for them. It didn't give me a lot of time to wallow in woe's me and, you know, what am I gonna do? It's like they need to eat, and if you need to figure out something to do, you need to figure it out. So I'd say if they weren't there, and then once again, that's the universe. If they weren't there, maybe I wouldn't be either.
That makes a lot of sense, man. And I really appreciate you unpacking this stuff with us and going a level deep. I know we asking a lot of personal questions, man, but you know, we like to really get into the nuts and bolts of these conversations to really understand the individual and the
Mm.
experiences you've had. So thank you for that. And then kind of pushing us forward, you know, what we came here to talk to you about really is, you know, fatherhood and learning more about you as a father. So if you were to describe yourself as a dad, like how would you describe yourself?
Wow. How would I would like to think that I'm fair. Um, and honest. If I don't like something that you're doing, or you're not living up to some part that I feel like you should be, you're going to hear it, you're going to feel it. But if you're doing way beyond or whatever, I would like to think you're going to hear it and feel that as well. Um, but you know, that's me looking at it. I'm sure they'd be like, Dad, you don't never be telling us nothing good. I'd be like, I do. I just saw you in the thing the other day. You was good. It was all right. You needed to work on that first part, but I'm just saying, you're good. Um, um, I, uh, I mean, and I think they were, everyone, all of them would have to say that they know see, that they know, but that I love them, that I would do anything and everything for them. Um, and, uh, and I'm strict, you know, I'm kind of, I get, and like I said, I get a lot of stuff from my dad. When I ask for something to be done in a certain way, I expect it to be. And if you don't know how, ask, we'll work it out, we'll figure it out together. But then after that, that's the way that this thing should be done. As you get older, you know, I'm in my mid 50s now, so you get a little tired of chasing like the 18-year-olds. These little mugs are running around doing all kinds of stuff because I'll be like, I'm gonna get you tomorrow because I don't even feel like dealing with that right now. But I think those if that's a description of how I am as a father. That's the first things that come to mind, James. But I am. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love being a father. Even from the first time Curtis came and I didn't know what to do and I was freaking out in that delivery room and I called my dad. I was like, Dad, you know, it's a boy and I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm going to tell him. I don't know how to raise him. I don't know what to do. And my dad just said, hey, just go hold your baby. Just go in there and hold your baby. I was like,
No,
oh, okay. Yeah.
no, that's great, man. Because even with our platform, we actually had this storytelling series called Dads in Delivery. Because a lot of
Oh,
times, us as black men, as black dads, you never really hear how we feel in the delivery room, and we don't even know what to expect or how to feel. I know I don't. James has been there 3 times, so and he talked about it before. It's like each time is kind of different. So that you brought that up, I thought that was interesting. But even to that
yeah.
point with Curtis Jr., I noticed that he's into acting. So
Yeah.
break that down for me. Like, do you think him seeing you kind of go through that journey as becoming and becoming an actor kind of, you know, led him to that path? And do you think with everything that you went through, you kind of paved the way to make it easier for him to like navigate through the actor world?
I would like to think so, Jesse. But you know how children are and people, everybody know they got the better way to do it. And I'd be like, all you need to do is just be like, Dad, I know. And I'm going to be like, okay, dude, all right, dude, listen, you want me to call? So no, Dad, just let me figure it out for myself. I'm like, okay, all right, good luck. But you know, I respect it. In one hand, I respect it. I'm like, you know, some of these white mothers, they done paved. Look, bro, this hard work that I did on my back, it's for you. And I don't care. People will be like, oh, they just saying you get it. I don't care. But be able to do it though when you get there. Don't get there and not be able to do the work though. You know, you walk in there but if you're able to do the work and somebody helps you get in there, go and do that. It was weird because I didn't even know that Curtis wanted to be an actor till late. And I was like, are you serious? You really do? Because I thought he had performed. I had a theater company back in the day in New York City, and he had performed with us a few times, but he was a baby. I was making him do it. But when he decided to do that, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, just going back, when you were saying about delivery, it is different, man, because when my wife, my wife, Angelica, had the twins, bruh, I was lost. I thought, you know, she was like, well, what happens? I'm like, I don't know what happens now. I'm sitting there. She's like, the doctor was mad. He was like, telling her that you need to. I was like, hey, hold on, dude. Don't be yelling at her like that. I'm like, you okay, baby? You okay? She's like, yeah. It was rough. That twin thing was definitely a whole different move. Yeah.
No, it makes a lot of sense, man. And I think, you know, I tell Jesse that too. Like with when my youngest is it's a little boy named Luke. He's 4 years old, and
Oh, wow.
I'm in the delivery room with him, and the nurse comes and checks on my wife, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you probably got a couple more hours or whatever." That lady leaves the room, and my wife, she's like, "Yo, I can't hold it anymore." I'm like, "What you mean you can't hold it?" She's like, "He's coming out right now. I can't hold it." So then Luke just forced himself into the world, and I basically had to deliver him while like
Are you
on the
serious?
phone calling the nurse back in the room. So, you know, every delivery experience is different, man, and you know, it's a lot of emotions in there. But you know, it's amazing to be a part of it. Though, I will say that.
Yeah. Curtis
So
actually and Kimani were all cesarean. So that was interesting to see too.
yeah.
That was because you know they had that sheet and you ain't supposed to be able to see. I was
Uh-huh.
like,
Well, then talk to us about, man. So because myself, I have 2 sons and a daughter. My oldest and my youngest are my sons, and middle child is my baby girl. And you have boys and girls as well too. You know, what's been the difference for you between raising sons and daughters?
daughters, for the most part, in my opinion, when you ask them to do something and they basically do it and get it done out of the way, they're like, okay, you know what? Let me just get this done. I don't have to deal with it no more, and it's finished. Cool. It might not be done perfectly or good, but it's done. Boys, you'd be like, hey, bruh, did you hear me say that it's your turn to clean the kitchen? Yes, I heard you. Okay. Hey, boy, did you hear me say, bruh, I feel like you need to tell them 12 and 13 times the same thing over and over and over again. And it's just something about the lackadaisical effort in which they go through, my boys, and anyway, go through life. Uh, Grade wise, school wise. Um, but I will say, my sons are funny as they're funny. They have this knack of just being very charming dudes, and the girls. They're gonna be mad if they ever see this. The girls are not so much charming, you know. They're a little more snippy. You'd be like, that ain't funny. That wasn't a joke. That wasn't funny. You need to work on your delivery because that's gonna get you hurt. So you need to relax. But the boys are a little easier than that. On a serious note though about them is I think that I for some reason I worry less about the girls, which is strange. I worry less when they leave out, like when they were younger, than I do. I mean, I guess the climate in which our country is in, you know what I mean, young black boys in America. So I guess that has a little bit to play into it. But but even you know back in the '90s, you know, late '90s, when they would go out or whatever, I wouldn't feel I wouldn't have the same anxiety as when my boys would go out. I think that's just maybe because I felt like when you ask them to do something, 9 times out of 10, they were going to follow those directions.
Yeah.
When I asked my sons to do something, it felt as if something got lost in translation, so I would worry. Do you remember what I told you when you're out and this happens? You know.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it.
Yeah. No, that's solid, man. And I definitely, appreciate your transparency there because I know it's got to be a difference. And I'm pretty sure that difference between raising young boys and raising young women is different for everybody. And I want to kind of, take it, rewind a little bit back to the Shy. So on there, you play a father figure for Jake. I want to know what's that like in playing that role. But then also on set, I want to know, with Papa, Kev, Jake, I don't know their real names, but like, do you play like a father figure or male figure for them on set and kind of guiding them through that acting journey? Like, what's that like for you on set?
I try to stay out of I consider them professionals, at this point. So I just try to stay out of people's process, stay out of people's way of their process in general. So um, I don't know what they would think of me as. I do have a rule that the children can't call me Curtis. That's just an old Midwestern thing, maybe a Southern thing. You can call me Mr. Curtis. You can play around, call me Uncle Curtis if you want to. You know what I mean? But it's something weird to me when a 12-year-old, 30, even an 18-year-old be like, Curtis, listen, I'm gonna say, I'll be like, boy, what? You, Mr. Curtis. And if you want me to call you something different, I will. If you want me to call you Sir Jake or Sir Papa, you know what I mean, or whatever, I will. But let's, just respect these grades that up here, bro. But they're good people, though. They're good young people. A father figure to them. Wow. I don't know if I am that for them, but what I do know is that sometimes there have been situations and scripts where I wonder if the collaboration had thought of the father perspective sometimes. You know what I mean? Like the male perspective. And then I wonder who did grow up with the father in the home, because although Lena is the head, there are many writers, you know what I mean, that write on scripts. So you never know who inputted what and what, came along. So sometimes I read something and I just wonder, I don't know if a dad would accept that like that. You know what I mean? And thankfully, sometimes they hear me and they be like, "Oh, well, how do you think that could go?" And it's like, yeah, he would never allow that to be. I mean, you might remember one season where when Jake comes in with his sneakers on in the house, and dude was like, "You take your shoes off." My brother's like, you know what I mean? That's I think that's one of those moments. It's like it's I think you have to learn respect in order to begin. You have to be given it, obviously, and then you have to learn it in order to know what that feels like, so that you can pass it on to the others around you as well. So yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, man. That's really dope that, that they have somebody there, an elder statesman that they can learn from, and that there's also still boundaries. And, I think that's really dope too, that you're even teaching them to still like operate in a place of respect. Cause I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like there's a disconnect today with the youth and respecting those that are older than you. And, same thing with my kids. Like if an older person comes to my house today, like they know they can never address that person by their first name. Like we're not doing that. It's always Mr. or Mrs. before. So
Yeah.
hats off to you for doing that. But one of the things I want to talk about that's career related still and ties into the family is, you're on one of the biggest shows out there, right? And it's very demanding. You come from a career field that's very demanding. So how are you still able to make time for your family, your kids, and your friends, as well as yourself in the midst of all of that?
By making time. By making time. You literally have to say, you know what, I cannot do this project. I cannot, you know what, in these weeks, we are going to go somewhere. This is the downtime. Make sure everyone is here. You literally have to make the time, because if you don't make the time, it will be stripped away from you. You'll turn around and be like, oh, damn it, that's right. We were supposed to, I gotta, let me, you know what I mean? So you just have to make it, man. And get to the point where you realize that you can't do everything, and you don't need to do everything. You don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to be at every red carpet. You don't need to be at every game. You don't need to be at blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I would like to think you do this for your family. You do this so that your family and your loved ones can enjoy it. Not who wants to do it by themselves.
Right.
So my answer to that is you have to make the time. You have to, and you have to be strict on that, because people be like, wait a minute, we are paying you, blah blah. You like, well, I'm good. I'm sorry, I can't.
Mhm.
Like I'm here, and my daughter graduates on Friday. Jay graduates high school on Friday. As you know, they're twins, and I only said Jay graduates. And so I'm going to graduation. He gonna kill me. What do you see? They be like, "Dad, you just had to say that, didn't you?" But it's like, listen, guys, I know we're in this process right now. I know this is a big day, but if I can't have this day, I can't do this project. You know what I mean? And you'll find that if people want you there, and if they understand that, most of the time people be like, "We get that, of course. Why not?" And so by making the time, James, but that's what I think you just have to do with it.
Yeah, that's solid, man. And I mean, I think it's probably no other way to put it than just making the time, and the fact that you do that and you're mindful of that. And I will hope that these shows and plays and with the, the state of the world that we live in today would understand it, like you said. So it's good that they do. And one thing I do want to say is this show is to give Black men, Black fathers like yourself, your flowers, right? Nobody really talks to you about these things, at least, from a traditional media standpoint. So that's why we created the show. So I want to just give you your flowers for your transparency, for you opening up about these different things, man, because, it's been therapeutic for me today to kind of just see how you stuck through the journey, because I just saw you on these shows, right? I didn't know about all this stuff. So just kind of knowing that, man, it makes me appreciate, who I see you as on TV even more, but just who you are as a Black man even more. And one other thing that I will say is, the kids on the shop, whether you think they probably look up to you as a male figure, father figure, I'm pretty sure they do, man. They're watching how you move, they're watching how you operate, man. So whether they say it or not, I'm pretty sure they're looking up to you in that way. So keep doing what you're doing, man. And this has been a super dope conversation, man. So we appreciate your transparency.
Bro. Thank you for that, man. I accept it, and I appreciate it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
No, we definitely appreciate that. This has been a great one, and there's one segment. It's two more segments we want to do, but one in particular that's really important to us at Dear Fathers. One, because a lot of guys, when we ask them to do this, I feel like they start to pour things out that have been on their mind or their heart for a long time they haven't said to their dad. So this segment is called Dear Fathers. And what we say is, if you could write a letter to your father, starting with Dear Father, what would you say?
Dear Father, I know I don't say this enough to you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for sticking beside me. Thank you for having grace with me. Thank you for being patient with me. I'm gonna strive to do better, and I appreciate everything you've gone through to help me get to where I am, because I know I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for you.
No, we appreciate that, man. And I'm sure he does too, as being, your number one fan, supporter. I'm sure he appreciates, just those kind words that you have for him, man. So we definitely appreciate that. And we want to, like James said, got one more segment we want to do. Super lighthearted, super fun. We've been talking about a lot of deep stuff, unpacking a lot of, real conversation, but we just want to kind of play a rapid fire question game with you before we get out of here, man. So we're gonna say two things. It's basically a this or that. You got to give us an answer in 5 seconds, man. We gotta be quick, man. So I'll get it started off, man. So we got Jay-Z or Biggie. Who you got?
Biggie.
Biggie, okay. LeBron or Magic Johnson?
Magic Johnson.
Okay. Denzel or Portier?
Curtis Cook. Portier.
We got New York or LA?
New York.
Jordan's Bulls or Kobe and Shaq's Lakers?
You got me. Jordan's Bulls.
You can't be on a show called The Shot and not go with the Bulls now. I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, but okay. Mm-hmm. It was after that documentary, okay, you remember that doc that just said, it was like, you want to be like, you over there, but okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last one, man. I know that you got a love for cigars, man. So what's your cigars? Whiskey or cognac? Do you have either or with them?
A whiskey.
Whiskey? Okay.
Yeah, or scotch. Not primarily, I do scotch. Yeah.
Okay.
Single malt scotch. Yep.
No, that's what's up, man. We definitely appreciate you. And what's your preferred whiskey? You got a preferred one? I'm always liking to try new ones.
Wait a minute. I think Uncle Nearest is a whiskey, isn't it?
Oh, yep.
Yeah. I like Uncle Nearest.
Okay.
A lot. And then I had this new one that I found. I can't remember the name of it, and I'll never remember it right now. And I found this new one that was nice, but Uncle Nearest will be my go-to.
That's dope. That's dope, man. Well, Curtis, man, we appreciate you being a good sport for that segment, and definitely appreciate, just the dope conversation we had with you today. And before we let you go, of course, we want to, one, let the people know how they can follow you on social media, and then two, let everybody know what's next for you so we can support.
Yes. So thanks, guys. This has been great, man. Y'all got me all in my feelings all over the place. So I'll be driving home thinking, what did I say? What the hell did I say? But of course, on social media, it's my name, Curtis with two S's, CurtisCook. That's on Instagram, Twitter. That's the only two I'm really on. Facebook, I forgot my password. So if you write me on Facebook, I'm never going to see it. And of course, June 24th is the premiere of season 5 of The Chi. Streaming, and then on Sunday nights on Showtime, y'all come on, support them. It's going to be a ride. We're talking about love this season. We're talking about all kinds of love. Duda might even fall in love this season.
Okay.
Yeah, and whoa. So, and then I'm doing a couple other things that are happening that I can't speak about, and hopefully we'll see some advertising about this stuff too. So
that's really dope. Go ahead, Jesse.
No, I was gonna say that's dope, man. I'm definitely tapped into the Chi, so I'm looking forward to this season, man. And we're gonna be big supporters of you moving forward. Anything that you got going on, man, we definitely gonna tap in. We're gonna tap in with you on social media. We followed you from Dear Fathers before we got on this call, and we'll keep you posted on when the episode drops. And also want to get you some merch too. We have some fatherhood merch, so let us know what size shirt you wear, and I can get the information from your team to get it sent out to you.
Okay, much love, guys. And once again, I want to say this so it's there too. This platform is amazing, man. This idea of this platform is amazing, and how you guys are handling it today is beautiful. It's with love. It's with it's straightforward, and it's honest. It feels very honest and genuine, and I appreciate that the universe has brought us all here together, and then I'm able to be a part of it like this, because I think it's definitely necessary, and I'm going to support it as much as I can.
We appreciate that, man. So everybody, thank you for tapping into the Dear Fathers podcast. Curtis Cook, we appreciate you.
Love.
I'm Aya Temeti. I'm sure you've heard the saying, but it really does take a village. That's why I chose Kinley, a financial services company proudly built for Black America. Together, we create solutions. Go to BEKINLY.com to download the app today.
Standard data rates from your wireless service provider may apply. The Kinley deposit account is established by Central Bank of Kansas City, member FDIC. The Kinley Visa debit card is issued by Central Bank of Kansas City. Consult the deposit account agreement and fee schedule for complete details.
Time is money and I'm working on that richer meal. It's up to me to drop the ball like I'm finna.